Okay, good morning. Nick Morrow is going to be our honorary captain for the week. Done a nice job, obviously, going through a little bit, position change and all that, during the middle of the year. My hat's off to him. He's certainly deserving of the honorary captain. And he's done a good job since that switch, since moving to Will linebacker, and he's been productive. He's been our green dot guy and calling the defenses and keeping everybody, lined up and all that. So it's good that he's our honorary captain. Tough, NFC North opponent this week. The Lions. We're excited about that opportunity. Obviously had a tight battle here at Soldier Field last time, so it's going to be a good battle up there in Detroit. So we're excited about kicking that off today with our first and second down preparation. We want to finish these, like I said the other day, want to finish these two games off strong. We got a lot of development to do, a lot of things to look at that we want to look at offensively and defensively and special teams, and a lot of players too. We want to be able to evaluate those guys as well. Really just a credit to the coaches and players over this last stretch of games. They've really done a great job of staying wired in, staying focused. It's been the same every week. The guys are positive, morale is good. And we're looking for a really good Wednesday practice today. Guys are great in walkthroughs so far, so we're looking forward to that. And again, we're going to practice inside today just because of the field. It was kind of iced over, so it's a little bit wet and soggy right now. We're going to give it a day, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get out there tomorrow. It's supposed to be nice out there, and then we'll see where it is the rest of the week going inside or out, but we'll be good there. And then no post-practice meetings today. We really did that just to, give the guys a carrot. They've been really focused and wired in for that. So guys will still get their corrections from their coach. It'll be on their iPads and all that. There's notes we can put on there, so that's squared away there. Injury update will be after practice. And as you guys know, today is the one-year anniversary of the passing of Jeff Dickerson. Our prayers to him and his family. And then I know that Jeff Dickerson Good Guy Award will be also awarded this afternoon. I just want to acknowledge that, and my best to his parents, George and Sandy, and also his son, Parker. So with that, I'll open up to questions.
When you say you've got a lot of guys you want to look at, does that mean that there will be more rotating of players potentially, or you could change,
that's a good question.
Change the starting lineup and put some guys who haven't played as much in? What? Yeah,
when you're at where our roster is right now at the end of the year, we got a lot of guys on IR, so the combinations really aren't that many that you can do. But certainly we're going to move guys around a little bit, potentially offensive line, defensive line, but it's not any big shift. For example, we might look at, Justin Jones might be a 3 technique. We might put him out at end, so that's an example that we might have. We've talked about doing that before. So just a couple things like that.
That high-level execution in game-defining moments. Beyond talent, what in your mind goes into having a team that meets those moments the way you want them to?
Yeah, it's really, I talked about it today in the meeting, and to me it's about scheme. It's about having the right scheme, having the right players in the right position, and that's really the coach's, responsibility. So it's not just the player, but it's certainly us, offense, defense, and kicking. That's number one. And then it's about executing. It's about having the execution there, and you have to make those plays. You have to do them in practice first, and those are game-defining moments, that you have. So we're going to set things up. We always have. The last few weeks, we've always done it once a week, but we do a 2-minute drill. We've been doing it for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks now, twice a week. So we've upped that, a little bit. So end of half, today, and we'll do it end of game, tomorrow. So just putting the guys in position to do that.
Why do you think wasn't able to get going? He's the best running back in football in yards per carry going into the game, and then 6 carries for 7 yards.
Yeah, I would just go look. Like we always say, it's all 11. It's it comes down to you look at each particular play, and it's all 11. It could be a lineman, a tackle, a guard, inside lineman. It could be the perimeter blocking. It's all that. So, we'd have to go through each play and look at each one and say, okay, this is where we broke down there, and this is where it was here. So, it's all 11.
Health-wise, though, he's back to normal?
Oh, yeah. He's good. He's good to go. He's got all his power, all his speed. He's good to go.
What do you admire? Go ahead. Detroit's offensive line, they started building that in 2016 with Taylor Decker, and every year they spent a high draft pick.
Yeah.
the notion of an offensive line coming together over a number of years, is that the way you do it? Because sometimes there's this notion that you can go get somebody in free agency, plug and play, and that will fix a unit. Is that a position group, though, that has to be built over a certain amount of time in order for it to be, as good as theirs is?
Yeah, it's hard to get high-level players, at a position group all at once. Meaning that you have to stack guys, meaning that you might get one, through free agency, you may get one through the draft. I remember when we were in Dallas, we had, Tyron was outside at tackle, then we had, Frederick was the center, and then we got Zach at guard, and that takes a couple years to be able to do that. So, it's always good, but you have to build the line that way. And it does take some time. Sometimes you can do it, one or two pieces in a year, but that's typically it. You want to build your lines for sure. Your lines have to be strong on both sides of the ball. And our guys have done a great job. The guys that are in there for us have done a great job learning the scheme, and we're excited where those guys are too.
Yeah, you talked a lot about following other teams' leads in terms of setting a culture and building a team the right way. Do you look at the Lions as any kind of example of what Dan Campbell's tried to do with that team in Detroit?
Yeah, obviously the strength of their team is the offensive line. That's the most talent they have on their groups, and certainly they've been playing very well. They do a really good job of limiting sacks and doing those types of things, and obviously been doing a good job running the ball as of late. So again, that's always a big part of having success is offensive line.
What do you appreciate about Campbell in particular, and kind of the influence that he's had on that team?
No, I just appreciate his energy, his passion for the game. I got a chance to visit with him. He got an interview at the Indianapolis Colts the one year when we were there, and I got a chance to visit with him briefly there. So I just appreciate his energy and passion for the game.
With Justin Fields, and you talked about the personnel around him, and you guys have had injuries, you have young players and experienced players. Do you gauge, this is more of a question usually that comes up in the preseason when you're talking about putting the starting quarterback with different guys. Do you gauge whether it becomes maybe not safe or not productive to play him with certain guys? If the offensive line deteriorates or he doesn't have receivers that are really going to be part of things going forward?
Yeah, I just think that, when you're a quarterback, you're going to have adversity during the course of the season. You're going to have some linemen out. You're going to have some, skill sets that aren't going to be there, and he's got to figure that out. We have to figure that out as coaches. We have to be able to figure it out and maneuver. How do we move the ball down the field when this person X is out or person Z is out? And we just got to figure it out. It's good for the coaches too, as well as Justin.
Travis Gibson finished strong last year in a different system. He seems to have hit the wall in this one. What's your assessment of where he is, and how much of it is because of just the transition to a new system that he was familiar with?
Yeah, I think that he has the body type to be able to play end, and I think he's done a better job the last couple of weeks of playing the run for us, and he's been close. You've looked at the last couple of weeks, he's been close to getting the sacks. He's just got to close the deal, and a lot of times that's him, finishing strong, making sure he's staying on his feet and finishing strong to the quarterback. But again, we were pleased with him where he's been the last couple of weeks in terms of his pressures. He's just got to deliver it and bring it home.
When you make an evaluation of someone like him, how do you know, just almost in general, like whether it's the player is just not good enough or whether it's the transition? If we just give him more time, he'll be more productive next year. Isn't that a tough call sometimes?
Yeah, I would say.
Situation relative to Travis's situation.
Okay, yeah, I would say that T's done a good job of working at his craft. Sometimes it's not there. Just the production's not there. But he has the skill set to get it done. So we're always encouraging him, and we're always letting him do his thing. I think he's got to learn really how to deliver that counter move that he has. He's done a decent job with his fastball, and he's almost gotten home, like I said, the last couple weeks.
What sort of impact have you seen him have on that defense at large? And he had a pretty good game against you guys.
Yeah, just the high effort. The high effort, the motor. That's what everybody says about him. It's true. He has that. He's got a good skill set. It's a good rush set for him, and I think that he's done that, and that's what the defense is trying to emulate. Him, and I think that's what you do when you get a first-round pick. They have to be highly skilled, which he is, and they have to give great effort, and that's what he does. So he brings that to the table.
If the name of the game is getting to the quarterback, what can a dominant edge rusher or a developing edge rusher do for a defense as well?
It's everything, because it helps. With your pass coverage. For sure, it helps in situational football, in third down. It helps in the red zone. It helps in 2-minute. You know, those are all important, impactful moments of the game. And when you have a pass rusher, you know, that can do that, that you can affect the quarterback, it helps everybody.
Yeah, when you were talking about the personnel a couple of minutes ago, and you said other things like this throughout the year, that imperfect circumstances are part of the job for Fields in particular, that he just has to find a way to make it work no matter what's going on, who's in or out. How do you think he's done with that this year?
I think he's done well. I mean, if you look at how he's progressed during the course of the year, with all the different lineups up front, with all the different receiver lineups, you know, with losing Herbert for quite an extended period of time, I think he's done well, you know, and he's improved his game. And we're excited to see where these last two games are going to go.
Back to the Lions, prior to this past Sunday, they had been on a real hot streak there. Are you sensing anything within their season and within their hot streak that was kind of the fuel for that run that they've been on?
Yeah, I mean, it's the NFL. You know, you have games where they're super tight, and you win those games, and you get on a streak, and that's what happened. And you have games like last week. You know, you get, you know, like you know, the coach over there said, you know, got kicked in the face, which is true. That can happen too. But you know, I know they're looking to rebound and you know and right the ship, and that's important that we learn how to do that. You know, we got to learn how to finish games, and we got to learn how to execute at those moments, and that's what we're trying to do.
Every defensive coach takes pride in stopping the run, and it just seems like you're, excuse me, you're near the top of that list as far as just being passionate about it. What do you make of the run defense here that it really hasn't been? I mean, this is seemingly new territory for you. I don't think you've ever been really that low. Are you surprised? Are you at a loss to figure it out, or what can you do about it?
Yeah, good question. We've reached our goals. I think 6 out of the games that we've played. It's been inconsistent. You know, where I don't think we've had it back to back where we had to, you know, accomplished our goal. You know, so to me, it's been just consistency. You know, and to me, it starts up front and it starts inside out. You know, so your tackles have to be dominant. To be able to own the A's and B gaps, that's very important. So your linebackers can scrape downhill. Your defensive ends have to be able to set the edge so that the gaps don't get too wide. And that's an important piece on the tackles. They got to be able to play backside. They got to be able to stay alive, you know, the defensive end. So that's what I mean when it starts up front. And then the linebackers. The linebackers in a 4-3 scheme have to be able to play off of the D lineman in front of them, and they have to be able to play downhill. And we're doing a better job with that. We got to be more consistent, like I said. And then the secondary, to have a really good run defense that's number 1 in the league or top 5 in the league, it takes all 11. It takes the secondary. The secondary has to be good because when the ball pops through there, it's down. You know, and it's down there at 10 yards, 8 yards when you're really good, and it doesn't pop through there. You know, so we've had some of those this year, and that's why our numbers aren't where they need to be. You know, so really it starts up front from inside out. It goes to the backers, and you know, to be elite, you have to have an elite secondary that keeps the cup the entire game.
Matt, back to Morrow. I know you said this is new for him this year with the green dot responsibilities. That's usually an inside linebacker position, right? Like for guys wearing the green dot?
Yep.
How different is it for somebody at the weak side position wearing that?
Yeah, I've had different guys over the years wear it. You know, Sean Lee was in the Cowboys. He played. You know, Will, and he had it. And then when he went down, another linebacker had it. Was the Mike. It's really just the guy that's best fit that can handle that scenario and get everybody lined up and take control of the huddle. Some guys don't like it. You know, some guys don't get it and say, "Coach, I don't like you chirping in my ear. I just want to hear the call and play ball," which that's okay too, as long as the other guy can do it. So, but it's been varying guys. You want to have the guy that stays on the field, you know, and if you're going dime or, you know, different type of packages, you want the guy to be able to stay on the field.
You were asked earlier this week about how morale has stayed high with your group despite the losing. Is that something that the players just kind of do themselves? Do you have to, like, do you notice that they rally around something you've said, or is it just kind of a byproduct of the personality?
Yeah, it's just your attitude. You know, do you have an attitude of that we're getting better, we're improving, we're laying foundation, and you have a positive attitude, but also a realistic attitude. You know, how can I get better? How can I make corrections? How can I improve myself? And how can I improve the units? And I think when guys look at performance that way, I think it's easy or easier when you have adversity to stay positive. And the guys have done that all year. All right.